Sevele bumvene insimbi yesithupha nalomhla ekuseni kunglesini. What a blessing to wake up yet again on this fourth day of the week to come and sit on these very seats and present this fantastic show in Kusile Breakfast. Just making sure that you are still on the path with developing stories around the country on development, as well as other stories as well, celebrating fantastic people in the country. A very good morning. My name is Fiso Ngumalo. And as usual, I'm not alone. I'm with Lungalele Mokakula.
Ndoni, how are you this
Doing
morning?
very well. I'm amazing.
I'm great. I'm amazing as well. And good morning to our viewers. Blessed as well, yes. Grateful to be alive. We welcome you to the Kusile Breakfast Show. My name is Lungalele Makakula. Thank you for joining us. It is the 4th of July, 2024. We are halfway through the year. It's quite an exciting program. We're excited as a country about the victory of 11-year-old Ndoni who brought home a silver medal from Prague. She was at the Dance World Cup held in Prague, Czech Republic. She's the first Eswatini to qualify for this competition and for hoisting the Eswatini flag high. Ndoni is a student at the Talent and Motion Academy founded by Velile Dube. She'll join us in the program Lomutla to share her experiences in Prague. Then later, Stabesina Sibongi Nkosi Twala, who's a business banker at Eswatini Bank, Nayo Tokulmagabanti, financial opportunities that are availed for SMEs to grow their businesses. So do stay with us.
Yeah, SME is very, very important in growing those. I think, this is one of the very topics that you see spinning across all our programs on Eswatini TV, just
it's
developing
all about SMEs,
the youth and SMEs. And certainly one wants to remember that nakuvulwa iParliament and nesilo semhlaba sakabaniketa insaya by Parliament shumi nakubile tsenini. SMEs are the lifeblood of the economy. In fact, big businesses start as SMEs themselves. So it is important ukuthi babanjwe ketandla nabo baze bagraduate babe bosonva nzima. Another very, very exciting interview, or rather special feature that we have on the show today, is going to be looking into the United World College Africa Week, which is an annual student-led event which provides a platform to explore Africa, its challenges as well as opportunities. We want to look at, this year's event, which is taking place Lapa Etulu Waterford Gamhlaba Lapa Gangwane. It runs from July 3rd up until the 10th with the theme The Untold Renaissance, celebrating Africa's unrecognized growth as well as transformation over the past decade. Now, joining us today will be the head of communications from Waterford Gamhlaba United World College to share insights and exciting details about this remarkable celebration. Interviews like this one are very crucial for current affairs as they highlight significant cultural as well as educational events impacting our community. Now, especially for Eswatini, a nation which is rich in cultural heritage, such discussions not only emphasize our participation in global movements, but also our commitment to addressing and celebrating the continent's challenges as well as achievements. Now, these conversations, of course, as you will see today, will inform, educate, and foster pride as well as engagement within our local and broader African community. So do stay tuned for this particular interview.
Yeah, it's a big event. It's a big event, Mguni, because Nangbuganjele schedule na my program. There's going to be a panel discussion. Liktabe I Nabomage. They'll be discussing Dinzaba, Letipatselene, Nabomage, and STEM. So, but about Dinzaba Fire Science, Technology, and Mathematics and Engineering. So it's quite a beautiful program. Whatever go take what Dinzaba Letini Ngakul Njoba Shishudo. It's a 10-day event. So there's different topics for each day.
And what you want to further appreciate is, United World College, of course, it's a world standard college. People from the diaspora, Bafunza Lapa. In fact, the whole SADC has at least 5 students represented in that particular school. But Lapa Gangwane Kwele Banfana be Maswati. So namhlanje bonke batabe bavunlile machata balqobile so kutabe kuhle imbele, just to see what the weave and the interconnectedness of Africa, but particularly the showcasing of our own as a Maswati, of our own culture there, is going to be very beautiful with the guests that are coming, the renowned guests. Last year they had President Thabo Mbeki, former South African president. This year they have another keynote speaker. But also just, the conversations are very important and what they mean to our society.
Yeah. All right, leading headlines on the Times of Eswatini this Thursday. Until Tamba Mbili celebrations after civil servants awarded 4% COLA. Government's PSUs signed deal to be backdated. Mbongwa negotiations were fair, but as a consultancy for salary review has been unveiled. Kansukuletinge Tamba Mbili Ndoni brings home silver medals. It did from Begeleta Demden Wake Nebangani Bamhlangabeta Engwenya border yesterday. Kuletinge Tamba Mbili bacede wants public sympathy nekusho kwemfati wake, and first wife wants divorce and she alleges Major V and second wife had sex in church compound.
What?
In other news, how Chawuka got government laptop while not minister. PAC.
Yeah, well, congratulations to Ndoni Amanzi, occupying the biggest, story there in the front page. Times of Eswatini Sports, after impressing in Kosafa, Sihlangu duo recommended for South African side Chiefs. Sihlangu, as well as young Buffaloes winger Bongwa Matsebula, is in action against Bafana Bafana during the 2024 Kosafa Cup Group A match on Tuesday. It's going to be interesting. I hope Maswati, Adam supporter, Nana, a lot of remarkable Maswati doing amazing things this week. Kanzeglenye Inzaba Sundowns confirm shock Rulani exit. A story written, of course, in Tswane, where Mamelodi Sundowns have officially announced the departure of Rulani Mukwena ahead of the upcoming 2024-2025 season. Well, in another story, grief as car knocks down, kills Mnotfo. A story written in Babane, the cruel hands of death have struck football again. In a sad news where Manzini Wanderers popular fan Mnotfo Manana was tragically knocked down by a car on Tuesday night around Jubela Ngolwini in Manzini. Wanderers Chief Executive Officer Diana Gurdy Johnson confirmed this story. Racism won't deter me is another story making headlines there.
Leading headlines on the Eswatini Observer this Thursday, Ndoni is making headlines. She has thanked Emma Swati for support, and that is a picture of her and her dance coach, Velile Dube, receiving a warm welcome from family, friends, and supporters at Ngwenya border post yesterday. In other news, government PSUs agree 4% COLA. Public service PSAs 4% is a result of smooth engagement. SNAT appreciates speed in dealing with COLA, says 4% is fair, but huge wage bill is a problem, economist. In other news, men left in the house as wife gets hitched, and a wife claims Bakete removed her from family trust.
Yeah. Eswatini needs to invest in infrastructure. TX Galaxy boss challenges PLE to find solutions. He says Eswatini has great talent. It just has to be unearthed. On another one, do not panic. That is according to Ali Khomongwe, like a provoked raging bull. Capital City side Mbabane Highlanders boss chief Ali Khomongwe has assured their fans not to panic over the team's transfer dealings. Mloane recommends Eswatini Stars to Kaizer Chiefs. Former Malandi Chiefs coach Humphrey Mloane has recommended Kaizer Chiefs to sign Eswatini national team players who are part of the ongoing Kosafa Cup held in Port Elizabeth in South Africa.
Kuletamba imbili Eswatini Daily News. King applauds US for 16 billion malangeni in aid over 19 years. His Majesty has expressed profound gratitude to the United States for the significant support provided to the country over the past 19 years. The King highlighted that the kingdom has benefited from over 16 billion malangeni. In other news, Eswatini moves up 26 places in latest World Press Freedom Index ranking, and government prioritizes quality of life, says Minister Skhumbuzo.
International move on the cards as 4 Sihlangu Stars are on SA team's radar. The quartet of Gwake Twala, Neliswa Tiger Dlamini, both Mbabane Swallows by the way, Simanga, Stina Masangane and goalkeeper Xolani Gama are being sought after by 3 South African teams. A really beautiful spectacle on that front. Mpumalanga Premier Cup tourney. Birds must beat TX Galaxy to face FC Augsburg. From the international front, in the Euro 2024 tournament, Spain hope to send Cruz into retirement.
That's it for our leading headlines on our newspapers. Lomuhla, starts as Kefu Sibiya netindzaba Eswatini.
Hey, it's Nelson Makanya here. Let me take you through a tour of your own cities and your own country. This is the Kingdom of Eswatini. Join us and let Buhlebetu inspire you to be an A tourist in your own city and your own country. Experience a virtual tour of exciting places in and around Eswatini. We look out for exciting and adventurous places for families and individuals to enjoy right here in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Let's go. Unwind and dine on Eswatini soil. Enjoy the experience and savor every waking moment.
When you choose your adventures, you do so with an open heart and a desire for the unexpected. You embark on journeys to discover new worlds, full of wonder. You choose a path to awaken your senses, a world to make you look up and realize just how inspiring this life can be. Arrive and awaken your heart. Explore life in ways only thought possible in your dreams. Discover just how far you go to expand your understanding of life's greatest mysteries. There's just one place on this planet with so much to offer. Now is the time for you to have the royal experience in the kingdom.
Sohlamahle siphinza sinabukela ehlelweni sibuke ukuthi solo nhleli nathi kulesikhathi sidawuthathana tindzaba tesiswati. Ingonyama ethi live leSwatini likhathatekile ngebudlwangudlwangu lobukhungetha umhlaba. Ingonyama ethi inhlangano yakamhlabuhlangene ayisukume ithathe indzawo yayo ilethe isisombululo lesiphuthumako kude bantfu umhlaba wonke baphile ngaphansi kwemhlaba lonekuthula. Ingonyama iphefumule emcimbini wekugubha iminyaka lengama-240 kusukela latfola inkhululeko live laseMelika. Azike kulo mcimbi lobe ubanjelwe etindlini tebuncusa telive leMelika ezulwini. Ingonyama beyimelelwe ngumphane Kusile Ndoni.
Wathi ngesikhathi live leSwatini lithola inkhululeko mhla ti-6 enyonini ngeminyaka yanga-1968, live leMelika lagagula live leSwatini njengalelo lelikhululekile futhi leselitimele. Ngalelo langa lenkhululeko live leMelika lavula amahhovisi yalo ebuncusa kuleli enhlokodolobha yelive eMbabane. Kwathi Chris Papers Jr. wabamba isikhundla sekuba kulonxusele laseMelika kwesikhashana angakabekwa ngalokusemthethweni imbasada yokuqala ngqa ukuthi yanxusele iMelika kuleli. Charles Nelson lwabekwa nga-1971. Emuva kweminyaka lengama-56 lamave lamabili solwane budlelwane lobuhle nekubambisana lobuhle lokwakhele ekuhlonipheni ukutimela kwawo nasekuhlonipheni inqubo yawo kutembusave. Live leMelika liyaqhubeka nekuhlanyela elikusaseni leMaswati etinhlangothini letfaka ekhatsi tempilo. Lihlelo lwamengameli waseMelika loluphuthumako lokulwa ne-HIV lokuyiphepfa nasenhlangothini letfaka ekhatsi temfundo kunyeke naletinye inhlangothi. Umcimbi ungenelwe bantu abenkosi, ungenelwe natindvuna tembuso, nalabo-ke labafake ekhatsi labanxusele emave abo lahlukahlukene kuleli. Ingonyama iphefumula ngemva nenkosi Lindani, itsite inkhululeko yemave iboshelwe emasikweni nasebuveni. Ngako-ke live ngelive alivunyelwe ukuthi lingalahlekelwa nguloku njengoba kude inqubo yetembusave lingalungela wonke emave esikhathi sinye.
For every nation, independence ushers fundamental human rights to chart their future as an independent state, where the citizens can decide the architecture of their system of government. Independence is always anchored on the principles of nationhood, custom, and culture. The constitution of every country defines the nation's origin and the way in which they want to be led. So, as we work our democracy, let us allow each other to grow on our ethnic principles and foundation, as there can hardly be one blanket democracy that will suit us all in our diversity.
Ngonyama ibonge live leMelika ngekubambisa live leSwatini ngelisitolo temphilo lolubite gitsigitsi temadola aseMelika letingamakhulu lasiphohlongo nemashumi lasikhombisa eminyakeni lelishumi nemfica lendlulile. Ingonyama ithi live leSwatini likhathatekile ngebudlwangudlwangu lobuya ngekwanza mhlaba wonke, kanti ithi mhlabuhlangene yakahole yonke imetamo yekubuyisa kuthula kumave emhlaba.
We wish to reiterate our support for the fight against terrorism, which has claimed many, many innocent lives across the globe. Furthermore, we echo the call to the United Nations for peaceful solutions to all conflict. Dialogue and consensus building is what has sustained the kingdom of Eswatini to what it is today. We wish to assure you that our country remains an ideal destination for investment because of her peace and stability and the highly skilled labor force. This provides great opportunities for the American business to invest in Africa.
Sabambe kubangilunxusele live leMelika even leSwatini Caitlin Piper uthi live leMelika liyatiqhenya ngekubambisana kwalo nelive leSwatini. Uthi iMelika inesifiso lesikhulu sekuthi lokubambisana kwente live leSwatini liqhume lifeze wonke emaphupho alo.
And this is why we're so proud to partner with the government of Eswatini and the citizens of this country to foster an environment where citizens of this country can unleash their potential through opportunities to lead, to learn, to build careers, to serve their communities, and really to achieve their dreams. Consider for a moment what we're doing in health. In 2003, the United States government created PEPFAR to make a transformational investment in HIV prevention and care. Now, we talk a lot about PEPFAR in this country, but it's because it's one of the greatest initiatives, I believe, the United States has undertaken in our lifetimes. Since 2003, the United States has invested over $100 billion, nearly all of it in partners in sub-Saharan Africa. In Eswatini, the United States has made an investment of more than $870 million across 19 years. And together as partners, we have increased the life expectancy of Eswatini by a remarkable 20 years.
Live leMelika aligcini kutentuthuko kuphela kubambisa live leSwatini, kodwa ke live liyakuthola nekubanjiswa uma ngabe libambene emisebenti lemikhulu lihambisana netembusave ngaphansi kwetinkhundla. Kutsite eminyakeni lophelile ngesikhathi live liyawungena elukhethweni, live leMelika lagcugcutela eMaswati ukuthi aphume ngetinkhani kuyawubhalisela lona lukhetho. Kubuka njeke netinkhulumo letethulwe kulomcimbi kusobala ukuthi budlelwane balamave lamabili bungumthombo longashi. Bikakweti Ndzabeni ngisandile Makhanya naThemba Mamba ezulwini.
Liphindela ndvunankhulu imphunga Kusile dladla lithi emakhosi yale live atfume uhulumende ukuthi aqinisekise ukuthi inhlala kahle yemaswati iyathuthuka. Kungako aya etinkhundleni letahlukene takuleli kuyawusita lawo maswati ladzingile. Liphindela ndvunankhulu belikhuluma uma letfula indlu yagogo Joanna Hlatshwako endzaweni yakalomshiyo emekemeke kaHhohho.
Umhlonishwa liphindela ndvunankhulu imphunga Kusile dladla uthi lendlu ingilenye yaletinyenti lesetakhelwe emaswati letisibuko seliphupho lemakhosi lekubona emaswati ahleli kahle emimangweni.
Sitfunye ngiyo ingwenyama. Ngiyo leyasithuma sonke siphelele sibayeni. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi sonke seva emaswati akhuluma atethula enkosini abeka inhlupheko yawo. Yaseke ingwenyama ithi awu nitigawulile tinfungo nathi benigawulela mina. Leto tinfungo leto titawugijima naye uhulumende tithi nkwe ubete liswati lelikhalako.
Gogo Joanna Hlatshwako lobekahlala emkhukhwini uthe nobe aphathekile angete yahluleka kwekhutha lwandle ngalesipho sendlu yakanokusho.
Fayete khona phakathi.
Indvuna yemcuba Themba Mazibuko ibonge yagangatha ngalesipho sagogo Joanna yachaza ukuthi gogo bekahlala endlunkulu kepha ngekwanza kwemndeni wakhe indlunkulu yabese imniketa libala lakhe njengoba nebantwana labalishumi kanye nebatukulu.
Kakhulu minister ubambisa umntwana enkosi kuloku enesibonge nelohhovisi nelohhovisi lakhe lomdzala hulumende wembube.
Kulomsebenzi liphindela ndvunankhulu liphindze lashiyela gogo Joanna Hlatshwako tishumba tekudla latakudla kanye nemndeni wakhe. Etindzabeni te-Eswatini TV kubika Mbongwa Dube kalomshiyo.
Indvuna yelitiko letisebenti tembuso umhlonishwa Mabulala Maseko seyisukumisa kucala kwemsebenti wekubuketwa kwemaholo etisebenti tembuso i-salary review. Indvuna iphindze yamemetela tinkampane letawuchuba lo msebenti lokuyi-emergence growth kanye ne-umalusi consultant management consultancy. Indvuna yetfule kucala kwalo msebenti emahhovisi alelitiko eMbabane.
Hulumende soyitfolile i-consultant letawukhona kubuketa emaholo etisebenti i-salary review. Indvuna yelitiko letisebenti tembuso umhlonishwa Mabulala Maseko uthi-ke le nkampane letawusitwa inkampane yakuleli iniketwe tinyanga letilishumi nakubili 12 months.
Sigcine-ke sithola consultancy firm lokuthiwa i-emergency growth lebuya even labomakhelwane eNingizimu Afrika bathi batawupartnerisha nemaswati nangu umelusi consultancy management firm. Sithi-ke naloku bese kuthethe isikhathi kepha uhulumende wengonyama uthi lo msebenzi awenteke kahle kuze kusitakale onke emaswati lasebentela uhulumende. Lokusho ukuthi sitawubuka ngekhada ngepost ekutheni engabe ime kahle indayikhona khona noma kumbe ime kabi bese ke kwentiwa lawo ma-adjustments lekufanele.
I have committed us to not just delivering on this project to the minister but to over-delivering on it as well.
Labakhulumelele tinkampane letiniketwe lemisebenzi bavetile ukuthi baticapha kakhulu ngekuthi bantfu baniketwe emakhono ikakhulu emaswati.
We are tasked with the responsibility of providing the local content as far as this exercise is concerned.
Dlamini uthi-ke le nkampane inebantfu labacecesheke ngalokusezingeni lelisetulu. Uphindze-ke wathi baniketwe umsebenzi wekuniketa sitfombe saloko lokudzingekile kanye-ke nekubuketa tonke tinhlangothi kakhulu emsebentini.
Lo msebenzi wekubuketwa kwamaholo uhulumende wagcina kuwenda ngeminyaka wa-2016. Etindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni nginaThemba Shabangu eMbabane.
Live leSwatini selisukile esigabeni sa 111 lake ku 85 etindzabeni letiphatselene nekwekuthi betindzaba babhale baphindze babike ngekukhululeka. Ngekusho kwendvuna yelitiko letekwatisa nekuchumana imphunga Savannah Maziya, live ligagulwe ku World Press Freedom Index kutsi litfutfuke nga 26 slots. Indvuna ithi loku imiphumela yekwekuthi imitamo yahulumende layendako nekwekuthi ke betindzaba babhale ngekukhululeka. Indvuna ithi betindzaba badlala indzima lenkhulu ekutfutfukiseni umnotfo nasekucinisekiseni ukuthi hulumende usebentela ebaleni. Indvuna beyikhuluma emhlanganweni nebetindzaba.
Lapha Eswatini sesente kahle ukuthi bantu lababhalela amaphepha nabo bonke ama-journalist ayakwati ukuthi abe sendzaweni lapho kune-press freedom ba better and better every day. Basirenkile kusukela ku 111 to 85. Lokusho ukuthi sizube titebhise 26. Siyabonga ukuthi labo participateile kule survey ngibe ama-journalists alapha ekhaya, ngiwe laba sebenza nama-colleagues abo ukuthi bakwati kubona ukuthi lapha ekhaya sisebenta onke malanga ukuthi siwasekele ama-journalists sikwati nokuthi basebente endzaweni lapho abangakwati kubhala konke labakudzinga ukubhala kwati ukuthi bacoverishe live. Siyafuna ukuthi ama-journalists abhale iqiniso, abhale tintfo lapho emaswati akwati kufundza, akwati ukuthi akwati kusontakani eveni nokuthi ati ukuthi lapha ekhaya lapho labama-journalists bafuna kubhala tintfo letiqiniso. Siyabonga ukuthi emavele angaphandle lamanye ama-journalists angaphandle akwatele kubona ukuthi siya improve as live onke malanga.
Endzabeni temidlalo, Ndoni yamanzi luhlanga lweneminyaka lengu-11 sewubuyile ekhaya kulandzela kumele lalive kahle emidlalweni yemhlaba yema-World Cup Dance Competitions lapho khona abuye nemendlela yesiliva. Luhlanga wemukelwe ngemaswati ehekeni laseNgwenya.
Le Prague event le Czech Republic lapho khona ubuye nemendlela yesiliva. Luhlanga ungene kulela 70 leheke laseNgwenya lapho khona wemukelwe lithimba lesive semaswati. Luhlanga ukhombe injabulo waphindze wabonga nesive semaswati ngalendlela lesikhombe kumesekela ngayo.
The competition was very hard but exciting and fun for me, and it was nice being welcomed by my family and friends, and I really appreciate. I would say thank you very much, Swaziland. I really appreciate it and keep it up.
Velile Dube longumqeqeshi wakhe uchaza kabanti ngalolu hambo lababenalo.
You have to be there to see it. The level of dance is so high. That's why I just couldn't believe when they said she won. It's so high. If you keep, even now, it's still continuing. It's finishing July 6th. Ipela July 6th. It's still continuing because there's a lot of dancers from all over the world. But the level is just incredibly high.
Batali bakhe lokungibonga Nfakutsi kanye naTemalanga Ndlamini nabo bebagcwele injabulo.
Kakhulu. I'm so proud, my brother. Ngiyabonga nje uNkulunkulu more than everything. Losholele yena indlela yonke. We were praying for her. Siyambonga uNkulunkulu because siyabona emandla akhe, sibonga nemaswati onke Nkosi yami la supportile.
Sibonga kakhulu maswati lamahle kusimangalisa ngelithando lelingaka. Cela niqhubeke nakulabanye niba support kwananabo. Really amazed at what emaswati asikhomba lithando lelingaka towards Ndoni yamanzi akusiko wami wethu silive sonke.
Luhlanga ukhombela inyenti lemave emhlaba ukuthi livela kangwane litimisele kwenta kahle kutemidlalo. Lobikela umsakazo wetithombe yeSwatini TV kutemidlalo ngumpendulo kumbi kanti umbiko uhlanganiswe nguFabrice Msonera eMbabane.
Ngaleyo ndzaba ekhalalisela Ndoni yamanzi yasitephethe tindzaba tesiswati sitabahlole emakethe ngekubuka simo selitoni sesiyabuya sicubeka nehlelo.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu kusembili.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area. And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 76222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any Nedbank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Asimize simukele sikuvusele nolosanza kusivulela. We're joined by Bonkosi Twala, who's a business banker at Eswatini Bank. Lomuhla kutokhuluma kabanti ngema financial opportunities that are available for bosoma business labafise ukuthuthukisa ibusiness yabo ekakhulukati labo laba ku agriculture sector. Sifuna ukuva ukuthi ngabe ngimaphi lama opportunities la availed ekakhulukati financial services lavetwa ngilo libhanga. Sivusele Twala sabonga ukuthi benathi lomhla ekseni sinibonile nilibhanga available bosoma business ekakhulukati labo labancane niyababambisa njengoba nje nahulumende ayihambisa kakhulu indzaba yabo somabhizinisi ukuthi they are a critical sector ekuthuthukisweni kwemnotho. Engabe vele mhlambe imandate yenu as Eswatini Bank kuzama kuhlangabetana nebalimi kuyini vele as a bank imandate yenu?
Sivusele mbukeli ekhaya soshidonge ngibongosi ngakathwala silibhanga we all about selling ama financial solutions to ama customers ethu. We believe njengoba sesikhuluma nzabataka agribusiness, we believe ukuthi i-agribusiness siyati ukuthi it's a strong backbone to umnotho welive langwane. So we want to see naku ukuthi silibhange sidlale nathi silichaza lethu ukuthi sibonakale sisita ema-farmers ethu. So imandate yethu ke silibhange, we want to empower ema-farmers ethu, we want to equip them so that atokhona ukuthi atimele wona atilimele kahle futhi in order for them ukuthi babe ne-income liyanele and subsequently tizabataba futhi security emakhaya babe nekudlala kwanele kuze kudohla poverty and hunger levels evenda kangwane. So all in all nje we're all about selling financial solutions to our farmers and clients as well.
Now to equip mhlambe ni bakhipha ngani bona basoma business especially lama farmers?
Sifuna nje ukuthi lenza abatabo financial literacy, business management, we see khona in the farmers asking ukuthi sibanike imali kuphela. We work them, we mentor them together with our stakeholders lesebenzisana nawo in the field.
Okay, so kuba kanjani nibamba ama training sessions noma mhlambe bathola mhlambe lena knowledge nabede ibhange kutofuna lama financial services?
they come to the bank, siba site basitshela sifuna kwenda 1 2 3, we give them loko labakudzingako, and ke siba site, and then ke asegcini nje ukuthi sikhiphe le mali sihlale ema-office sihlale kuma-accounts, but we there with them emasimini, together sibambisene with ama-stakeholders ethu. Angibe kusenje ukuthi umlimi simboleke imali ufuna kulima vegetables. We have our partners which is one on board. We have our partners both include, we work with them, we train them, siphinde futhi nenza about financial literacy, business management, konke lokho umlimi sibana until azathole le mali lama profits la realize ekugcineni, aphinde futhi naye abe ne-income leta khona ukuthi yondle umndeni wakhe.
Yeah, so kunebalimi labafisa kuba balimi bayabuka basahlanganisa imali lapha nalapha. Kunemlimi mhlambe lofuna ukuthuthukisa ibhizinisi yakhe, kunemlimi mhlambe lofuna ukuvusa ibhizinisi yakhe. Ngabe baya qualify bonke lapho ukuthi bathole mhlambe lelo sito ebhange nisita baphi kahle kahle mhlambe nini?
Silibhange lesive ke sisita cishe ema-farmers onke, angithi nje sisita ema-companies, sisita ema-cooperatives, sisita ema-trusts, siphinde sisita futhi nema-individuals. So ema-individuals we want to see, ukuthi sisite i-youth kulokho project sola eminyakeni lo 18 years kwetulu. We want to assist bomake, we're all about women empowerment. We want to assist people living with disability. So loko labafuna nje basinikete kona, sifuna ukuthi basendele the business plan which will present their business case. Let us share ukuthi vele le project noma mhlambe le business ikhona yini. Siphinde futhi sifune ukuthi basitshele ukuthi batawuthengisela bani, basitshele ukuthi who is their formal market. Etuka lokho futhi siphinde futhi sibanikete, siphinde ukuthi sibheke ukuthi babe nama-business accounts whereby they'll be able ukuthi ba-transact, sibendele the business account, siyasibendele bo current account which is the business account. So we'll stabafaka ukuthi bangene lama-digital platforms, internet banking, mobile banking, so they'll bank at their own convenience. Kulamalanga nje sigijimisa iproduct lesigijimisa lesezingishesha, so ke siphinde sibafake kushesha futhi. Angibe kusenje mbukele ukuthi lana lo mlimi so ufuna kubhadala 70 mhlambe bedimhlakulela nje those casual lokhunjana 70, so sebata khona ukuthi bababhadale through shesha. Konke nje lokho lesikofarishako, so ngishito ukuthi business plan dimarket naloko nje ngikola bakuletha ukuze basitakale Eswatini Bank.
Uvedile mongozo ukuthi ni sita nebamfla basha i-youth. Ingabe ni khona kusita mhlambe an individual yini soma business longumlimi noma mhlambe nakungavela nje group of young people laba balimi labafise mhlambe kucala yona business etekulima noma bafuna kuvusa ibusiness yabo niyabasita noma mhlambe nibuke an individual noma ke mhlambe leyo nkampani nenda kanjani?
Okay, sisita nje, okay nje ukuthi sisita ema-companies. So ke if it's a group of youth, bangagroupeka bakhe mhlambe cooperative noma bakhe company. So in a nutshell, we assist, sikusita nje unguwe uqhamuka as long as you are 18 years and above. Sikusita ni group which is it could either be a company, it could be a trust, it could be a cooperative. Yes, so assist up to that level.
Alright, so ingabe kumalula kanganani nje ukuthola imali njoba sochito nje uthi my requirements vela fire cards le business plan, mhlambe ne research lo yendile ukuthi imarket enganani mhlambe yala ma products lofuna ukuyithengisa, kuba malula kanganani vele ukuthola leyo mali leyo nokuthi thatha sesinganani and the maximum amount laba itfolako?
Okay, lokho shothi nje ngidawuthi nabe nje sosinikete onke lama documents engikhulume ngawo which is our requirements. Usually it takes 2 weeks ukuthi vele sikutshele ukuthi your loan has been approved or it has not been approved. So that was official our turnaround time, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah. So in a case lapho khona mhlambe nimsitile loyo mlimi loyo wayisebenzisa imali yamsebenzela kahle, so kuba nesehlakalo sathi ukuthi kuba kuhle kuba netimvula, kuhle kuba nesomiso, tilimo takhe setiyonakala, business yakhe seyiyawa, so uyabuya futhi eSwatini Bank so ukucela imali uyalithola nisito lo mlimi loyo?
Okay, ngishito mthombeni ukuthi si Eswatini Bank single department like SME agriculture asigcine ukuthi umlimi simnike into nje le mali kuphela but sijinge futhi sihambe simhandhold together with our stakeholders lesebenzana lengobalile so ke in case ke sekwente kade ehlakalo angibekisende ukuthi simnikete imali ulime emahlabishi sokuqhamuka sancozo siyashaya siphinde sihlala phansi nemini sibuke ukuthi how can we restructure le loan yakhe in order ukuthi eventually vele agcine kulesimo la ngene as overcomile so it's all about restructuring the loan siyakhulumisana ukuthi how can you restructure the loan if he was supposed ukuthi asala abhadala ngaSeptember sesazi ngeno sesingenda njani then ke will say ukuthi ay stawenda 1 2 3 then ke so tawubhadala ngaDecember it's loan restructuring.
Yeah, lo kusho ukuthi nakhona nakadibane nama challenges ayisangene kahle imali nakhona uyabuya kini nikhulumisana.
Naba doubts imali siphinde sithi how can we assist ungathinga malini ukuthi kuze phinde futhi uvuke konke nje lokho umthombeni sisuke sinaye umlimi njengoba ngishido ukuthi vele siba naye asigcine sikhipha imali kuphela siyaphuma siyobahlola ema customers ethu ukuthi ibhizinisi ihamba njani we interact with them we engage ama stakeholders ethu nabe mhlambe sekunesimo lesicakile we call our stakeholders together sihlale phansi sibuke ukuthi lo mlimi angaphuma njani kuleso simo lesolangene kiso.
Yeah, so ningabe vele mhlambe ngiphi imitamo lenendako nenezelibhange kuzama ukulekelela balimi sakumela ukuthi vele somiso siba inkinga lenkulu ngalokuthi nanyalo vele bona baka agriculture seba encourage abalimi ukuthi basebenzise ama climate smart solutions kukhona inzima lenidlalako as Eswatini Bank kulelo hlangothi lolo.
Okay, ngidawuthi Mthombeni ngiyabonga lo mbuto ngidawuthi libhange kunenzima lenkulu lelidlalako ngoba vele sibonile ukuthi indzaba double climate sema issues la sevele sekakhona are real we've seen nje ukuthi kunama excessive heat waves sibonile nje emavikini laphelile emaveni angesheya the temperatures of about 51 degrees Celsius so ke ema temperatures la kanjalo vele ajinge asishaye awashaye ema farmers so ke silibhange kokuqala si part of a task team lesisenzana na Finclude project lega CFI we are trying ukuthi sibuke ukuthi ema farmers angasita kanjani etizameni double climate want to bring ma solutions climate smart solutions phecelezi which is a protected agriculture want to ukuthi sikhulumisenza about double net shading sifuna ukuthi bangene enzameni double tunnel farming so konke Tongendoeto are some of the solutions Samagua sing Eswatini Bank. Etuga logo Eswatini Bank has been nominated to get accreditation to receive EMA Green Climate Funds. So ngalama funds laoge EMA customers to agnenza bakuthi libhanga kuphi la khona ukuthi EMA customers asitakale ukuthi athole those funds that will help them ukuthi ba mitigate ema climate issues.
Okay, kokugcina nje sina 20 seconds kusichazela sivele ukuthi indaba nene activation kusasa eMarkets.
Yes, isitabe sine activation kusasa okay foods emhlaleni isitabe sithi sheshanathi this Friday so ke sta invite nje ma customers ethu nalabo labangasima customers stabe sibarishista ngashesha stabe sibavulisa ama accounts there will be prizes to be won sithi nje kumbukeli noma mhlambe ma customers ethu lata badudane akabe nathi lapha emhlaleni okay futhi kusasa sicala nga11 ekseni.
Okay, no ngiyavakala sibakhulu mbukeli sothi vele 11 am lapha emhlaleni ukuthi abe kune activation ye Eswatini Bank. Eswatini Bank ngeyibita bonke labafisa ukuvula mhlambe em accounts nalo libhange sasalike futhi bese sibhekene nehlelo.
You may have heard about contaminated syrup harming children and even causing death in some cases. There have been reports about falsified diabetes and weight loss treatments. We're going to talk about substandard and falsified medical products today. How can you protect yourself, and how does WHO keep you safe from these products? Here to talk about it is Pernet Bordillo Esteve. Welcome, Pernet. Pernet, talk to us about falsified and substandard medical products. What do we mean by these terms?
Thank you, Vismita. So a substandard product is one that has basically lost its attributes of quality, perhaps through degradation. It's become out of specification. A falsified product is one that deliberately misrepresents its composition, identity, or source. There is an intent to deceive. And both substandard and falsified medical products may contain the wrong active ingredients. They might have been manufactured in unsanitary conditions. They will most likely not treat you for the condition for which they were intended. And sometimes they can even be toxic, as in the case of the contaminated syrups that you've just mentioned. Both substandard and falsified medical products harm patients, and there's a wide range of socioeconomic and public health impact attached to these.
So Pranay, explain to us, how are these medical products allowed to exist and circulate, and how do they actually reach people, and how can people protect themselves?
So they're not supposed to be allowed to exist. Falsified medical products are by definition very difficult to detect. They can be almost similar or identical to the original or the genuine product. And a substandard product often requires laboratory analysis to be identified as such. There are three major forces that drive the existence of substandard and falsified medical products. The first is constrained access. This means, is the product available? For example, a shortage. Of acceptability. Can you accept this product? And affordability. Can you afford to pay for it? The other driving forces are technical capacity. Is there the capacity to detect the product?
So you're talking about capacity of a country.
This is about being able to do the laboratory testing to identify these products. And once you have identified it, you have got to be able to report it, to share the information. And that requires quite a lot of technical capacity. And the third major driving force is poor governance. This includes corruption, unethical practices, and weak administrative structures. So you don't need all three driving forces to converge for substandard and falsified medical products to exist. A single one is enough, but populations where these forces converge are the most vulnerable.
So how can we all protect ourselves?
Well, people need to have access to safe and quality medical products. And that's why WHO works closely with national regulatory authorities, those very institutions who are the best placed to safeguard the public from these substandard and falsified medical products.
So Pernette, once WHO receives an alert about a falsified or substandard medicine or medical product, what happens next?
So as soon as we receive a report in the WHO Global Surveillance and Monitoring System, the first thing that we do is to validate the information. Then we identify and assess the risks, and that allows us to determine what are the immediate actions that are needed to protect public health. We work with a wide network of public authorities and experts to understand the nature and the scope of the danger. We'll provide technical assistance to countries who are dealing with the incident, and when necessary, we'll communicate about the risk, for example, with the WHO Global Medical Product Alerts that you have seen. This is really a very global issue. Our network reports to us all sorts of medicines, antibiotics, cancer medicines, hormones, vaccines. Every single therapeutic category in every single form is affected by this. In the past year, we've spent a lot of time working on the examples that you mentioned earlier, which are the liquid medicines contaminated with antifreeze and also the falsified weight loss diabetes type 2 products. It's very important to report early because a timely report from one country can save lives in another country. Good quality information is what will guarantee effective interventions. So if you or someone that you know suspects to have been exposed to a substandard or a falsified medical product, or if the medicine has not worked as you expected, or if there was an unexpected adverse reaction, please talk to your healthcare professional about it as soon as possible, your doctor, your pharmacist, your community healthcare professional. We all have a role to play when it comes to preventing, detecting, and responding to substandard and falsified medical products.
Thank you, Pernette. That was Science in 5 today. Until next time, then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
Welcome back. That was Science in 5 by the World Health Organization. Right now, we'll play you a clip briefing by Virginia Gamba, a special representative of the Secretary General for Children and Armed Conflict, on how to advance our collective norms towards protecting children and ending all grave violations.
I thank the Republic of Korea for convening today's Security Council open debate. I am grateful to my co-briefers and my colleagues across the world who work every day towards protecting and improving the lives of the most vulnerable. The information I present to you today has been obtained in context of great hardship and under incredibly difficult circumstances during a deadly year for United Nations personnel and aid workers. I remind you that, at the request of the Security Council, the information contained in the Secretary General's report was verified by applying the strict methodology of the monitoring and reporting mechanism. Due to extreme challenges in monitoring and in access to children in 2023, and the few and diminishing resources available to monitoring and reporting activities, these figures do not represent the full scale of grave violations suffered by children in all the situations narrated in this report. Furthermore, Section 5 was modified to recognize measures taken by listed parties to improve the protection of children and to emphasize the primary responsibility of states to protect their populations. Modifications which render redundant the separation of lists contained in the annexes to the report. Therefore, Annex 1 is a single list divided between governmental actors and non-state armed groups. Mr. President, in the 25 countries and one regional situation covered by my mandate, the United Nations verified an appalling 32,990 grave violations against 22,557 children in 2023. This is the highest number of annual violations in almost 10 years. Solely when compared to 2022, which already marked a severe deterioration for children, grave violations have increased by 21%. Across the globe, from Port-au-Prince to Mogadishu, from Kharkiv and the kibbutz to Khartoum, from Rafah to Bethlehem and kibbutz Be'eri, from Borno State to Arauca Department, and from Mopti to Rakhine State, children bore the brunt of multiplying and escalating crises. In combat zones, in displacement camps, in urban areas, and in their homes and schools, they experience horrific violence. The brutality of violations escalated in many situations, for example in Haiti, where children were gang raped, decapitated with machetes, and burnt alive by armed gangs. The grave violations verified with the highest numbers in 2023 were the killing and maiming of children, followed by recruitment and use, denial of humanitarian access, and abduction. Firstly, a staggering 5,301 children were killed and another 6,348 maimed and or injured, marking a shocking rise of 35% over previous years. The use of explosive weapons in densely populated areas, as well as deliberate and indiscriminate attacks against civilians and civilian objects, had a particularly grim impact on children. In countless instances, children were killed and maimed in direct attacks, by airstrikes, by drones, or when picking up objects to play with that turned out to be explosives. In Afghanistan, for example, a 10-year-old boy was killed and his 12-year-old brother maimed when they played with an unexploded ordnance that promptly detonated. Whether armed forces or non-state armed groups, all parties to conflict contributed to this deadly harvest. Secondly, the recruitment and use of children also surged during 2023, with 8,655 cases verified, of which some 15% were girls, who also bore the brunt of multiple violations while recruited or used. In Somalia, for example, Al-Shabaab recruited 10 children aged 15 to 17 in a single event and then took them to a training camp. In the Sudan, the Rapid Support Forces Armed Group recruited 74 boys aged 14 to 17 in a single quarter and used them as combatants. 54 of them were subsequently killed during clashes with the Sudanese armed forces. In multiple situations, children were routinely used in combat and in support roles, placing them at significant risk and causing trauma and death. Children were further punished for their alleged or actual association with armed groups or on national security grounds. 2,491 children were deprived of liberty, exposing them to ill treatment and human rights violations, including torture and sexual violence. In addition, 31,000 children continued to be deprived of liberty in Hol and Rosh camps in northeast Syria, where they are deliberately denied access to humanitarian relief and essential medical treatment. I urge member states to treat children actually or allegedly associated with armed forces or groups, including those designated as terrorists by the United Nations, primarily as victims, to prioritize their best interests and to give child protection actors access to them. Thirdly, child abductions also continued at high levels, with 4,356 child victims verified in 2023. Abduction was often perpetrated in conjunction with other grave violations, specifically recruitment and use, killing and maiming, and sexual violence, and many of these affected mostly girls. In the Sudan, a girl was abducted by the Rapid Support Forces Armed Group, kept for 5 days and repeatedly raped to the extent that it permanently maimed her. Overall, the number of children that were affected by multiple violations increased, and rape and other forms of sexual violence dramatically added to this equation. Grave violations against girls also increased globally. In 2023, rape and other forms of sexual violence increased by 25%, and affected 1,470 children, especially girls. Gang rape continued unabated, with high numbers in the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, and Haiti. Prevalently, girls are recruited or abducted for sexual exploitation and then violated repeatedly. In 2014, in Iraq, for example, a girl was abducted by Daesh when she was only 5 years old. She was then sold between Daesh members for sexual exploitation and was sexually abused until she was rescued in June 2023 at age 14. Yet, most cases of sexual violence are never reported due to stigma, the risk of reprisals, harmful gender norms, and lack of access to safe reporting channels, survivor assistance, and justice. Collective violations also increased during 2023, with attacks on schools and hospitals continuing to deprive children of education and of health. Here, 1,650 attacks were verified and had devastating impacts on children and their communities. In Cameroon, perpetrators opened fire on a primary school where children were registering to receive their certificates. The school had to be closed immediately. The use of schools and hospitals for military purposes remained of severe concern.
It's a minute before 7 o'clock. There was a briefing by Ms. Gamba on children and conflicts. Asibahlwethu makethe nasibuya sisasati indzaba isingisi.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba-researche, bafunde.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna kukhicita lokhu sekungeni.
Bujala masoda mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu
Sivile sive sikhulume.
Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. This is the news at 7. His Majesty King Mswati III says the Kingdom of Eswatini is concerned about global conflicts that are threatening peace and causing untold suffering to mankind. The King has called on the United Nations to find a speedy resolution that will ensure that peace is restored in all corners of the globe. His Majesty was speaking through His Royal Highness Prince Ndoni during the 248th Independence Day celebration of the United States of America in Eswatini.
When the Kingdom of Eswatini became independent on September 6, 1968, the United States of America immediately recognized the new nation and set up an embassy in Babane on the same day of its independence. Chris Papers Jr. was appointed chargé d'affaires pending the appointment of the first United States ambassador to Eswatini, then Swaziland, Charles Nelson, in 1971. 56 years later, the two nations enjoy strong bilateral relations and a healthy partnership based on mutual respect for each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The United States continues to invest in the future of Eswatini through different sectors, from the health sector through PEPFAR, all the way to the education sector and in other sectors. His Majesty's representative was joined by their Royal Highnesses Bantwa Nkosi, cabinet ministers and envoys from different countries in the event. His Majesty the King emphasized the need for countries to retain their customs while pursuing democratic values.
For every nation, independence ushers fundamental human rights to chart their future as an independent state, where the citizens can decide the architecture of their system of government. Independence is always anchored on the principles of nationhood, custom, and culture. The constitution of every country defines the nation's origin and the way in which they want to be led. So, as we work our democracy, let us allow each other to grow on our ethnic principles and foundation, as there can hardly be one blanket democracy that will suit us all in our diversity.
The King expressed gratitude to the government of the United States for extending health assistance that amounts to 870 million United States dollars across 19 years. His Majesty said Eswatini is concerned about global conflicts that have gripped the world, leaving a trail of destruction. The King says the United Nations must intervene.
We wish to reiterate our support for the fight against terrorism, which has claimed many innocent lives across the globe. Furthermore, we echo the call to the United Nations for peaceful solutions to all conflict. Dialogue and consensus building is what has sustained the Kingdom of Eswatini to what it is today. We wish to assure you that our country remains an ideal destination for investment because of her peace and stability and the highly skilled labor force. This provides great opportunities for the American business to invest in Africa.
The United States chargé d'affaires, Caitlin Piper, reaffirmed the United States government's unwavering support for Eswatini in the next coming years.
And this is why we're so proud to partner with the government of Eswatini and the citizens of this country, to foster an environment where citizens of this country can unleash their potential through opportunities to lead, to learn, to build careers, to serve their communities, and really to achieve their dreams. Consider for a moment what we're doing in health. In 2003, the United States government created PEPFAR to make a transformational investment in HIV prevention and care. Now, we talk a lot about PEPFAR in this country, but it's because it's one of the greatest initiatives, I believe, the United States has undertaken in our lifetimes. Since 2003, the United States has invested over $100 billion, nearly all of it in partners in sub-Saharan Africa. In Eswatini, the United States has made an investment of more than $870 million across 19 years. And together as partners, we have increased the life expectancy of Eswatini by a remarkable 20 years.
The United States support for Eswatini extends beyond development to political processes under Tinkhundla system of government. When the nation was heading towards elections last year, the U.S. Embassy in Eswatini released a statement urging Emaswati to go out and vote for national elections. A close look at the two main speeches that were delivered here in the event paints a picture of two nations who are determined to keep their ties burning. On the news, I am Sandile Makanya reporting with Temba Mamba in Ezulwini.
The Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Kusile says their majesties have given government a clear mandate to ensure that the standard of living for all Emaswati is improved. Hence, government's commitment to helping those in need in the various constituencies of the kingdom. The Honorable Deputy Prime Minister said this when presenting a newly constructed house to Joanna Hlachwago, an elderly woman of Galomshia in the Hoho region.
The Honorable Deputy Prime Minister, Senator Kusile says this house is one of many inspired by their majesties as their desire is to see all Emaswati living comfortably.
Sitfunye ngiyo ingwenyama. Ngiyo leya sithuma sonke siphelele sibayeni. Ngiyacabanga ukuthi sonke seva. Seva Emaswati akhuluma, atethula enkosini, abeka inhlupheko yawo. Yaseke ingonyama ithi awu nithi gawulile tinfungo nathi benikawulela mina leto tinfungo leto titawugijima naye uhulumende tithi nkwe kubethe liswati lelikhalako.
Even though Joanna was not well, she could not miss the opportunity to applaud the king for the gift of the house. The Lumshio Royal Kroll headman Themba Mazibuko expressed gratitude to the Honorable Deputy Prime Minister for the beautiful house presented to Joanna Hlachwago.
Kakhulu Minister ubambisa umntwana enkosi kuloku enesibonge nelohhovisi nelohhovisi lakhe lomdzala hulumende wembube.
Mazibuko further explained that upon seeing that Joanna now had a big family, the Royal Kroll decided to give her a piece of land where she could live independently. Reporting, Mbongwa Dube, Lomshio.
The Minister for Public Service, Honorable Mabulala Masego, has announced that Emergence Growth and Umalusi Consultant Management will conduct a long-awaited salary review. According to the minister, this exercise will commence immediately and is expected to span a period of 12 months. The minister was speaking during a press briefing held in the ministry's offices.
In a significant development for government employees, the Minister for Public Service, Honorable Mabulala Masego, has declared the initiation of a comprehensive salary review.
Following the approval to commission a salary review exercise by His Majesty's government during the financial year 2023-2024, the Ministry of Public Service commenced the process of procuring the services of a consultant who will undertake the salary review exercise as per the agreement by the joint negotiations forum parties. It gives me great pleasure to officially announce and present to public servants on behalf of His Majesty's Government Emergency Growth Consultancy Company, the company that obtained the highest score after the technical and financial evaluation of the tenders. This company is based in the Republic of South Africa. We are indeed pleased that Emergency Growth has partnered with a local management consultancy company by the name Umelusi Management Consultancy.
The task of conducting this crucial review has been entrusted to Emergency Growth and Umalusi Management Consultancy.
I have committed us to not just delivering on this project to the Minister, but to over-delivering on it as well.
We are tasked with the responsibility of providing the local content. As far as this exercise is concerned, we address all issues from the human and social and cultural dynamics in the workplace.
The last time this exercise was conducted was in 2016. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Themba Shabangu, Babane.
The World Press Freedom Index has ranked the Kingdom of Eswatini, noting an advancement from position 111 to position 85. Minister for Information, Communication and Technology, Senator Savannah Mazia, says that this progress demonstrates the government's commitment to establishing an environment that fosters as well as safeguards press freedom. Senator Mazia was speaking in a press conference held in the ministry's offices.
Eswatini has advanced from position 111 to position 85 with a global scale of 58.31 in 2024 and rising from 52.66 in 2023. This is up 26 slots in 6 months. We are very happy and elated about these news. This significant progress is a testament to the government's effort to create an environment that promotes and protects press freedom. In the words of Aung San Suu Kyi, the independent press is a guardian of public interest. And today we'd like to express our profound appreciation to the media and acknowledge the role that they play in holding us accountable and serving eMaswati. Media freedom is a fundamental cornerstone towards the stimulation of innovation, social economic development, good governance, and building public trust. Media freedom ensures that we as the government are transparent and accountable to the nation, sharing public discourse and serving the interests of the public. The rise in world media ratings reaffirms our stance as a Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology to pursue endeavors that support and promote a credible and independent press. We believe the developments witnessed today in the media sector are creating an independent regulatory body that will oversee media practices, ensure that the media is practicing freely, but ensure that it is covering fairly as well. We are here today to make the country understand that ethical standards and freedom of writing what is the real story is important, and that the media must always be supported and at all costs be understood as a measure for good.
The Minister of Health has greatly appreciated the support from the World Bank through the Health Systems Strengthening for Human Capital Development project. Through over 15,000 women in the country have been screened for cervical cancer, as well as 556 of them that have been referred and linked to care. The Minister was speaking during the launch of a mobile truck for screened cervical cancer at Zombodze Emuva.
The Ministry of Health and the World Bank, through the Health System Strengthening for Human Capital Development project, has launched a mobile truck for cervical cancer screening, which will operate across the 4 regions of the country. The Minister of Health, Mduduzi Matsebula, has said the ministry is confident that with such support from partners, the country will achieve its goal of eliminating cervical cancer by 2030.
The Minister of Health would like to greatly appreciate the support from the World Bank through the Health System Strengthening for Human Capital Development project. Through the HSS project, the country has improved its efforts in the fight against cancer, the cancer scourge. Through the HSS project, The NCCU, National Cancer Control Unit, has received funding amounting to $350,000, which has helped the unit to intensify its intervention and achieve substantive results in the fight against cervical cancer. As of June 2024, the NCCU has utilized the funds to procure and distribute various pre-cancer treatment equipment and other consumables used for cancer screening to various health facilities. The equipment and commodities were used to increase the cervical cancer screening services, something which has yielded positive results. Notably, 15,706 women have been screened between January and June 2024, with 961 women screened positive, and 556 of them referred and linked to care. This has prevented patients from developing cancer, simultaneously also providing an enabling platform for early detection, which has subsequently increased the survival rate of people living with cancer.
The regional vice president for the World Bank in the eastern and southern region of Africa, Victoria Kwakwa, has said she's delighted because the health services will now reach more people in remote areas.
This is so important because we know that the best asset that Eswatini and indeed any country has, it's its people. And so investing in its people, the health of its people, the education of its people, the human capital of its people is a key priority.
According to the cancer registry data for the year 2016 to 2022, from a population of 100,000 women in the country, 55.1% had cervical cancer. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Thando Mdluli, Zombotse Muva.
An heir written into a will by a deceased person claims that he has not received anything after the court issued an order stating that the will was not to be used for inheritance following a complaint from others who were initially excluded from the will to benefit. The commissioners investigating allegations of mismanagement of estates at the Master's Office have stated that the application that set aside the will was not properly made in court.
The person complaining in this matter, Kusile, states that the deceased Esther Nxumalo was her auntie. The deceased passed away in 2010. Upon her death, her husband Nxumalo had already passed away and they had no children. Kusile expresses her grievances. She says when they went to the master's office, they were told that the estate was being distributed. She says they were told that in order to stay the distribution, they must approach the court. She says, however, the distribution continued. It is said that the deceased left a will, but one of the people who went to court to file an application to set it aside, Sonto Dlamini, claims it was not written by the deceased.
I felt I should be part because burial scheme.
Dlamini says the deceased was his uncle who raised her, so she doesn't understand how she was excluded from the will. The commissioners investigating allegations of mismanagement of estate at the Master's Office have expressed their views on the application filed in court. The commissioners say the court was disadvantaged in this case, as it was not told that there were other interested parties.
We are disadvantaged at the Kandolo of our this featureless Pele. So, figure Kandolos when I would not sit in a sing five. When you know there are actually 11 of you,
they should have moved the rescission application and explaining the circumstances under which they failed to appear. We are now decide a substantive matter on the basis of non-appearance.
Virtually by default. Let set aside the will. We are kindly.
The deputy master at the master's office, Lindela Makakula, states that everything was proceeding well in the distribution of the estate until the court order with that was issued.
Unclear line yellow benefit. So none of them, yes, they will have none of them were. But we only actioned or recognized anyone as an interstate heir upon declaration by Ndoni. So the question as to how that was determined or how that was arrived at was for the courts. This is we have equal judgment. We are going to make it available. We looked at A, B, C, D because Master Waela in report here. We looked at A, B, C, D, and we found these diabetes as interstate heirs.
Another issue that has emerged is that there was an amount of 75,000 emalangeni, which is unclear whether it was ever distributed. The Commission has instructed the Master's Office to handle this matter and submit a report. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla Mbabane.
The business community has welcomed the income tax order amendments, Act of Tax Order Amendments of 2023. Here's a story.
Acknowledge the nominal decrease in corporate tax. It's not much. It's quite nominal, but we're thankful for even the small things that have happened. We think a 2.5% savings on companies will ensure that businesses now are able to invest back into their businesses and to retool their businesses and expand, and hopefully in the process create the much needed employment which this country desperately needs, especially given the youth unemployment situation we're facing here. The presumptive tax now of 500,000, we had asked for at least 2 million, but we failed, and it's 500,000. But I think it's a step in the right direction. That just the huge administrative burden on small businesses will be attenuated and if not completely removed now. I think it is something that you just do a turnover and you are tax a nominal tax on that. But we are thankful on behalf of small businesses of this country. And also raising the threshold for VATable businesses to 900,000. When you say thanks for that, that in itself also removes the administrative burdens which small companies have had to endure for quite some time.
For the next 7 minutes, let's look at international news. Fierce fighting in Gaza kills 7, only 10 days after Israel says intense part of war was over. Viewer discretion is advised on the following story.
Emergency workers recover bodies in the southern Gaza city of Rafah after Israeli forces carried out new strikes amid fierce fighting with Palestinian militants overnight.
We have recovered no less than 7 martyrs and some injured and transported them from Tal al-Sultan.
10 days after Israel said the war's intense phase was winding down, there was no sign of a let-up, with more strikes on Deir al-Balah and Gaza City. The Israeli army chief told his soldiers in the Palestinian territory that over 900 militants had been killed in Rafah, but that their work there wasn't over yet.
This is a long campaign because we don't want to leave Rafah with Hamas infrastructure.
Meanwhile, Israel's order Monday for people to leave the eastern half of Khan Yunis has also triggered the 3rd mass flight of Palestinians in as many months, including from the last functioning hospital in the area, which had housed displaced people as well as patients. About 250,000 people live in the zone covered by the order.
A third of the Gaza Strip
making it the largest such order since October, when residents were ordered to evacuate northern Gaza.
The Israeli military estimates that some 1.8 million Palestinians are now packed into the 14-kilometre-long humanitarian zone it declared.
I don't think we will remain safe. We have been displaced multiple times.
Israel has repeatedly moved back into parts of the territory it previously invaded to root out militants it said had regrouped, a sign of Hamas's continued capabilities even after nearly 9 months of war in Gaza.
NATO will roll out concrete ways to accelerate Ukraine's eventual membership in the Atlantic Alliance during a summit next week in Washington. The summit will also address top security concerns amid Russia's war in Ukraine and challenges in the Indo-Pacific region.
As the Russia-Ukraine war rages on with no end in sight, the United States will host leaders of the 32-member alliance for the annual NATO summit that runs from July 9th to 11th in Washington. Boosting Ukraine's security and addressing challenges from China are high on the agenda, according to U.S. officials.
Whether that's supporting Ukraine in its defense against Russian aggression, whether that's working with partners to ways in which we can build the resilience of allies to confront the threats and challenges from the PRC, whether this is hybrid threats, cyber threats, these are all the issues that we'll be focusing on at the summit.
The U.S. and its NATO allies have said that Ukraine's future lies in the alliance, and next week the group will unveil concrete steps to bring Ukraine closer towards NATO membership. Some U.S. lawmakers are expressing concern about Ukraine's readiness to join the alliance, even as the embattled country commits itself to internal reforms. But the summit's focus is not just on Ukraine and European security. Analysts note NATO is also beginning to explore a larger role in the Indo-Pacific.
Australia, New Zealand, the Republic of Korea, and Japan are very interested in deepening their cooperation with NATO, and in those areas, not necessarily direct military-to-military cooperation, but some areas of where there is cooperation going on.
In celebration of NATO's 75th anniversary, more than 24 social media influencers have been invited to observe the proceedings and create content to commemorate the milestone.
The Labour Party, led by Keir Starmer, are projected to win a record 441 seats in Parliament, ending 14 years of Conservative leadership in Britain.
14 years in power, the UK's Tory party's fate will be decided tomorrow by a population frustrated by a cost of living crisis. In 2019, the Conservatives won in a landslide, promising to level up struggling regions. But 5 years later, many feel that promise has been broken. Like here in the town of Keighley, where some residents are struggling to pay for basic needs.
Bills are at the top, do you know what I mean? And I mean, you're left with nothing at the end of the month, so I mean, it's one of the big issues in this country, isn't it? People in poverty at the moment, it shouldn't be like this in the UK.
The state of the UK's public health system, the NHS, is also on top of voters' minds. Although funding has risen every year since 2010, spending increased by about 6% every year under Labour and only 2% under the Conservatives. A change that has caused young doctors and nurses to protest since last year. Long wait lists have caused frustration and, in some cases, despair.
The way in which the NHS is run, the priorities are political. I've seen underfunding of the NHS and mismanagement of the NHS cause real problems in the way I've been treated.
In an April poll, 6.3 million patients in the UK were on the national wait list for treatment, a threefold increase since 2010.
As tensions rise ahead of the second round of France's legislative elections, the far-right National Rally's Marine Le Pen has accused President Emmanuel Macron of rushing to appoint officials to key jobs in what she described as a form of administrative coup d'etat. Leading Macron's office urged her to show restraint.
Keep your cool. That is
The Palace, or Emmanuel Macron's office, has replied to Marine Le Pen. This after the head of the National Rally accused the French president of an administrative coup. On Tuesday, Le Pen went on national radio and said rumours were swirling that Macron was racing to fill high-level positions like the head of the national police, diplomats and other top jobs.
Dozens of administrative officials, a series of people whose objective is to keep Jordan Bardella from governing as he wishes. I think it's an administrative coup d'etat.
Le Pen's ally Eric Ciotti also expressed the same view on a conservative channel about upcoming positions, but also jobs that were filled right before last Sunday's vote.
There were already nominations last week of those close to him. You can see we're in a moment of overall panic to find jobs for friends.
In response to these accusations, the president's office said that Marine Le Pen needs to measure her accusations. For the government spokesperson, the far-right leader is lying.
Marine Le Pen was lying. We know that she is manipulating information. The fact that appointments are made during the Council of Ministers is nothing new. She obviously worried about it today, but it's nothing new. It happens at every Council of Ministers and precisely on the eve of the summer period to prepare for the start of the school year, which is just around the corner.
Gabriel Attal also accused Le Pen of making big gestures with big words in order to hide her own panic. While the naming of top officials is the prerogative of the president, many jobs do require a signing off by the prime minister. If Macron enters into a power-sharing system, be it with the far right or other parties, such signatures would be harder to obtain.
On sports news, national team Sihlangu Semnikati head coach Sifiso Ntibane says despite being knocked out of this year's COSAFA Cup in Port Elizabeth, the boys have shown the entire world that indeed the kingdom of Eswatini has huge talent when it comes to football.
A lot of young good players in the country, a young of young good players, and we left some even behind. So a lot of us can be proud of these boys, and we are building future players and future national team so that when going to CAF and FIFA World Cup qualifiers, you will find that we've got a pool of players that can represent the country. We knew that we've got numerical advantage in the Mekli, and we brought in a number of ball players who can exploit the spaces in the Mekli. With the Junior, with the Tuba, Tiger, and they are very hardworking young boys. I'm proud of them. Yeah, good experience for the boys. We will have depth going forward. We know that we've got a number of young players who can take the team forward.
All right, that marks the end of our English news. Let's go for a net break.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi
aba research bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu sekungeni.
Renewal of TV licenses for 2024 is now open. Here is a quick reminder. A viewer's TV license costs 180 emalangeni per device. Other accessories such as decoders and set-top box cost 50 emalangeni per device. For traders and repairers, TV license costs 300 emalangeni per business area.
And now, to pay your TV license, use these following methods. You can use MTN Mobile Money with the number 762222000 or dial *007 *3 *7 hash. Or you can use Eswatini Imali. And you can pay our TV license at any post office in the country. Another option is you can use any NetBank branch using our TV license account number 119900430037. Don't forget, when paying for your viewer's TV license, reference with your PIN at all times. And when paying for a retailer TV license, reference with your TIN at all times. For more information, call us on 7802-4543 or 34050163 or 34020879. And you can send us a WhatsApp message on 762222000.
Welcome back. You're still watching Kusile Breakfast Show. Sakvusela Naulo Sanza Gusivulela. As a country, we're quite excited about the victory of 11-year-old Ndoni Luhlanga, who brought home a silver medal from the Dance World Cup held in Prague, Czech Republic. She's the first Leswati to qualify for this competition and for hoisting the Eswatini flag. She's a student at the Talent and Motion Academy founded by Velile Dube. She joins us now in the studio to share her experience in Prague. Good morning, Ndoni. How are you this morning?
I'm very well, thank you.
You're good. You must be excited. How do you feel after your win at Prague?
I felt very excited. I felt like crying on stage.
Yeah.
I felt very happy.
Okay, so talk to us about your experience. You know, you're traveling, and did they welcome you when you got to Prague?
Yes, they did. They gave us a very warm welcome on stage.
Yeah. So do they know you? Do they know Eswatini?
No, they didn't. They only know South Africa.
Okay, so were you able to make friends from other countries?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so talk to us about your journey as a ballet dancer, and where are you now with your passion as a ballet dancer?
Well, I started when I was 4 years old, and my first competition, I think it was in nail sprays.
Okay.
And I won a silver medal as well.
Okay.
And then my second competition was in Cape Town, gold. That when I won a gold medal. Then now in Czech Republic, as the silver medal is with me.
Okay, so how does it feel to be the first Leswati to qualify for this particular competition?
Feels very okay. It feels amazing.
It feels amazing. Do you know that you're famous right now? You're trending. Everybody's talking about you, Ndoni this, Ndoni that. How does it feel?
It feels very well.
Okay. So talk to us about your dance routines. Your teacher Velile told us that you did 2 dance routines during the competition. Tell us about that. You know, were you nervous? How did it feel like, performing in front of a huge crowd?
It felt normal, just like pretending to perform in front of my family and friends.
Yeah, so you're used to it.
Yeah.
It was small waters for you.
Yes.
Okay, so tell us about your experience, being there for the first time, traveling with your coach, and also do you think of taking, dancing as a career?
Yes. I've always been saying to my classmates, they've always been asking me, what do I want to be when I grow up? I said, I want to be a ballet dancer. And they said, that's not a real career.
Yeah.
And then I said, we'll see when I'm older.
So you still feel the same? You still want to be a ballet dancer?
Yes.
As a career?
Yes.
Okay, so you must be excited. Have your friends congratulated you at school? But
I haven't heard from them for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
because I'm going to school tomorrow.
You're going to school tomorrow. So what would you say to aspiring ballet dancers that want to be like you one day? About ballet dancing and the opportunities that are availed.
Well, I would say that it's very easy to do ballet, but you have to put in strength energy and smiles.
Yeah. So you preparing, you know, how long does it take for you to get to know a dance routine?
A very long time.
Yeah. So you practice for hours and hours.
Yes.
But can you handle dancing and school?
Yes, I can.
You can.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Ndoni, and all the best. In your future endeavors. After the break, we're speaking to Coach Velile Dube about Ndoni's experience.
Hey you!
Yes, you. Have you paid your TV license?
Did you know that by paying for your TV license fees, you will be complying with the laws that govern television possession, in particularly the Swaziland Television Authority Act of 1983 and its regulations? It is a legal obligation.
Paying for your TV license can have a positive spin-off, as the money collected from TV license fees goes a long way in assisting Eswatini Television Authority procure appealing and relevant content to broadcast on the channel.
So now, these fees also increase purchasing of local content from independent producers, which helps ensure that the arts and film industry in the country is well supported thus far, ensures the creation of jobs for eMaswati. The payment of TV license fees goes a really long way in such endeavors as well as nation building.
A TV license costs 180 emalangeni per year per device, and for other accessories such as a decoder or njinja, it costs 50 emalangeni per device per year.
By paying for your TV license,
you will be doing the right thing.
Kude lesinye isikhathi ngaphandle kwalesi.
Aba-researche, bafunze.
Being risky means ukuthi nalokuwa kwayo kulula.
Nathi kufuna sente ukukhicita lokhu kusembili.
Welcome back. We're now joined by Ndoni's coach Velile Dube from Talent and Motion Academy. Sona kukhulumisana naye about Ndoni's journey. Very good morning. Welcome, Velile. Siyabonga, you know, for making Ndoni trend. She's famous. Everybody's talking about her. Yeah. So talk to us about her journey, Vele. You know, we've seen that she's committed, she's dedicated. Still ukuthi wafika kanjani, waqala kanjani afikela khona nyalo.
She started when she was 4 years old, when we were still at Serendipity in Babane. And yeah, no, to be honest, she's been just one of those very consistent kids, hardworking, never missed a class unless she was sick, you know. So I think the only thing that disturbed our training was COVID. Otherwise, I've never, like, you know, not had Ndoni in class. She was always there and just, like, really putting her all. So this is so well-deserved.
She's had passion for this since she
really
started.
Has. She really has. Since she was four, I posted a video the other day of her dancing, and that's just who she's been since she started.
Okay, so how did she qualify to go and compete and, you know, represent Eswatini in the Czech Republic? How did that come about?
Okay, so beginning of this year, so basically at Talent in Motion, one, it's obviously not compulsory, it depends on whether a parent wants their child to compete, but because of just part of their curriculum is for them to do competitions, because I'm not an exam-based studio, I'm a competition-based studio. And so this year, I decided, hey, let's give the Dance World Cup a try. And yeah, we went to the qualifiers and in Pretoria in March. And then she qualified and scored above the score which is required for you to make it to Prague.
Okay, so how's the experience nje nanifika ePrague? Yangitshela Ndoni ukuthi bebanganadi but some benadiwa nje South Africa. How's the experience? Did they know Eswatini? And it was just the two of you.
It was just the two of us. It was just the two of us. Even in just when we qualified, they didn't know Eswatini when we went to the qualifiers. The head judge from the United Kingdom, the director of Dance World South Africa, they didn't know actually. I was the only teacher there, and they just like, and where are you from? And they didn't know us, and so I had to even take out the map and show them where we are. And they were like, do you have a government? And I was like, yes. Do you have a flag? Yes. So they really didn't know us. Even worse than Masesi Prague, because then it was just like, who are they? And where they're from. So this was pretty big for Eswatini, to be honest, to be recognized and known and go and, be victors as well on top of that.
Yeah, so how does it feel for you as a coach? When she was only 4 years old, she's now 11, and she has achieved so much. She was telling me about her previous medals that she has won in Cape Town, and now this one for the World Cup. And how does it feel for you as her coach?
It's not I'm not going to say I'm surprised, because like I'm saying, she's not the only kid who's won competitions. Like we are a competition-based studio. So even in, I think, 2018, there was Luanle Mdluli and Siposetu Mlota who went to Serbia. It's just, I guess, social media at the time wasn't like this. But we've had international recognition before by Siposetu Mlota as well, and Luanle Mdluli, and then 15 others were supposed to go to America, but then we were going to go to Croatia as well, and then COVID hit. So it's just one of, I guess, as a coach, I'm like, okay, so I guess we're onto something. The training at Talent in Motion Academy makes sense. Now it even makes sense at world level. So it really is exciting because there is more Ndonis from where Ndoni came from, because we are training even today. Later on,
no rest,
later on, I will be teaching later on at another school, and you discover them at a young age.
Yeah, so you only produce stars, clearly.
Yeah.
Right, talk to us about Ndoni's dance routines, the one that led her to win this medal, the silver medal.
Okay, so it was called Power. So when we went to the qualifiers, and she scored 77.7%, which is not really a podium finish. A podium finish is above 80, close to 90, upwards. So then when I realized that, okay, where are Ndoni's strengths? And Ndoni's strength is street dancing and funk, and then you just add a little bit of splits and here and there, and I was like, we definitely have to do this other routine, which wasn't choreographed by me. It was choreographed by one of our assistant teachers at Talent in Motion, Spesihle Msibi. So that's when I decided, listen, let's do this one, because she's quite strong in street dancing, and this could be definitely where like we saw, she definitely did exactly that. So because then the contemporary, the level when it comes to contemporary is quite high. That's why we didn't even make it to 6th place, but we are gonna give it a shot next year.
So what was the reaction of other contestants when her name was called?
There was just that, okay, so who are these people? I remember one person even said, hi, where are you? Who are you? Because even the chairman of the Dance World Cup jumped off stage when he spotted us in the crowd, and he spotted Eswatini, jumped off stage, and he came specifically into the crowd to greet us. And so I think the head judge from the United Kingdom also was like, we are so happy to see you. So they were hugging us. So I think they were just like, asking themselves, who are you? Because then someone was like, who are you?
Yeah.
And we're like, no, we're from Eswatini. Where's that, you know? So I think it was just a shock. They were really shocked. They didn't expect these two people who look lost to win.
Yeah, you know, Ndoni's win is evidence that, you know, Emaswati are talented.
Absolutely.
And they're skilled. So what would you say to potential Ndonis that would want to start, you know, ballet as a career?
Well, it starts off by recognizing your child. I was discovered at home by my brother, my older brother, and my mom. And my older brother was like, because I was already like I would put both my legs, you know, behind my head. And that's when my brother was like, and there was luckily, because I grew up in Joburg, luckily like a recreation center where they were doing gymnastics and ballet, but I chose ballet.
Yeah.
So I was recognized from home. So you see it at home, either they walk on their toes or they're already like doing splits and whatever. That's a natural gift that needs to be honed a certain way so that this kid can then, you know, so all I can advise to parents is to be attuned to what your kid
So they
is
need to start
naturally
early.
gifted in, yes, so
They need
that
to
they
start
can
early.
start.
Is it late for a 10-year-old or 11-year-old to start ballet dancing?
It depends on determination, but obviously then it's just more work. It's just more work for the trainer and because of the flexibility aspect of it. Yeah, and the dancing that's now in the world, you need to be super flexible.
All right,
So,
lastly, before I let you go, what's next for Ndoni and your many other students?
More training, actually. This achievement for her is not really to say she's arrived. She needs to still work hard. And if she wants, like she says, if she wants to be a professional ballet dancer, when you go to auditions, they're very strict on technique. So that's what we need to still push and make sure she works on, especially the ballet and contemporary technique, where she didn't get that's the one that she needs to concentrate on, because that's the one, if you want to make it a career, you'll make money with. So more training, more training, more training.
All right, thank you so much, Velile, and good luck to you and Ndoni. That was Velile Dube, who's Ndoni Amanzi Lutlanga's coach. They're from Prague. Labukona Ndoni abuye a silver medal from the Dance World Cup held in the Czech Republic. Let's take a break. Start with the program.
Did you know that putting on your sunglasses is one of the ways to protect your eyes from cataract? We are talking about ultraviolet rays today, UV rays. Where do they come from? What impact do they have on your health? How can you protect yourself? And our expert today is Dr. Cornelia Baldeman. Welcome, Cornelia.
Hi.
Where do UV rays come from?
UV or ultraviolet radiation is coming from the sun, but also it can be artificially generated, for example, in sunbaths. UV radiation is not perceivable. You can't see that, you can't sense it. So this is very unfortunate, because UV radiation is giving us more health effects, negative health effects. For example, in short time, sunburn, you know, or eye inflammation, and for the long term, premature skin aging and skin cancer. Also cancer of the eyes. UV radiation is classified as carcinogenic to humans. Why? Because UV radiation is damaging DNA, and too much UV is damaging too much the cells, so they can't repair this damage again, and therefore this affected cells can degenerate to cancer cells. The only positive effect of UV radiation is the synthesis of vitamin D in our body, but this is happening simultaneously to the negative effects and before you are sunburned. So be careful about the sun exposure.
So we're going to come back to vitamin D in a minute. Let's first talk about how we can protect ourselves from ultraviolet radiation.
UV protection is very necessary, you heard, because of the skin cancer, for example, and especially for the children. But it's very, very easy. So do it like this. First, avoid UV exposure. Too much UV exposure means seeking shade, using an umbrella, or don't go even outside in the midday time. Secondly, what you can do is to cover you up So use a broad-brimmed hat, use sunglasses for your eyes, as you showed before, use clothes and also shoes so that the body is protected. If there is already unprotected skin, then you can use sunscreen for that.
So what about vitamin D? Aren't we concerned about vitamin D when we take all of these protective measures? Because we are supposed to go out and exercise and walk in the woods and out in the sun, right?
Yeah, this is a good question because vitamin D is very important for our health. But sun protection measures don't mean to block the vitamin D synthesis. It's still running, just in a delayed way. So the main point is go not out in the sun just for getting vitamin D. This is not necessary. There's a pill to treat vitamin D deficiency, but no pill to treat skin cancer.
I have another question for you. I have darker skin, so I have more melatonin. Does that mean that I'm more protected from ultraviolet radiation?
Dark-skinned people like you are not so sensitive to UV radiation as fair-skinned people. The lighter your skin, the earlier you get the UV exposure negative effects. So it's very important that you know your skin, how sun-sensitive is your skin, and when it will come to a sunburn. When you know this, with this knowledge, you can already manage your sun exposure and your time outdoors.
How would we know about UV radiation if we can't see it or sense it?
Yeah, this is really a problem, but we have a solution. There is the UV index. This is a scale with whole numbers, starting with 1 to 11 and above. And the higher this number, the intenser the UV radiation is. So it means when you start to get outside, so use, for example, weather apps or something like that, showing you the UV index, or use the SunSmart app showing you your own sun protection times.
Cornelia, explain to us, if we are not in direct sunlight, if we are in shade, are we still exposed to UV radiation?
Yes, shade uses the UV radiation, but it's not blocking the UV radiation total. So it means UV radiation is scattered, and therefore everywhere you are in shade, you can get burnt, you can get in tan, and also you can get vitamin D. Thus, shade alone doesn't mean 100% UV protection. So go out and be aware of your sun exposure and sun protect yourself. Let me say, this all sounds that it's not allowed to go out in the sun. This is not the case, of course not. To be in the sun and to be outside, it's very healthy. So go out, enjoy the sun, and do your sun protection very clever, and in the end, avoid sunburn.
Thank you, Cornelia. There you have it. That was Science in 5 today. Until next time then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stick with science.
Be sure to catch Business Watch every Wednesday between 2 p.m. to 3 p.m, where we feature the latest updates on business news, market trends, and exclusive interviews with industry leaders, as well as insights on emerging small and medium enterprises in the commercial sector. Business Watch, your business leader.
Well, there it is. That marks the end of today's episode. Thank you for staying with us. We hope that you enjoyed the show.
Yeah, stand by next time. Have a lovely day.
coming up on TPI.
Is the blessings me say will find me here.
I said, guys, we have a song that is going viral. I got a call from Sony, and he's like, you crossed 25 million already. This is the 2nd of January. I only posted this a day before.
Well, hello and welcome to TPI. I'm your host, Muyi Olaiwaju. We have an incredible show in store for you, and I believe something good is going to happen for you as you watch today's program. You don't want to miss this episode of TPI. Now, first up, for decades, Sir Nicholas Winton was known as an ordinary stockbroker. However, the movie One Life reveals his extraordinary act of bravery and kindness that saved the lives of over 600 children during World War II. Ephraim Graham takes us behind the scenes of this moving film.
Now, an extraordinary story about a man who rescued refugees at the mercy of Hitler's invasion.
He was mortified knowing that they would all go to concentration camps. So he decided, heroically, without any fanfare, to rescue as many as he could.
James, when did you first discover Nicholas Winton's story?
My second ever job in the industry was as a trainee researcher on That's Life, on the very program, the BBC show that eventually brought Nicky Winton's story to the world.
It was this old man who had saved my life and that of hundreds of others in the Second World War.
And your first thoughts upon seeing it that first time, what did you think?
Oh, the power of human emotion, and also just honestly the power of human spirit.
What do you think it is that motivated Nicholas? What drove him?
He saw children that needed help, needed saving. He saw something that needed doing. But instead of going, the problem's too big for any one individual to solve, he started off and did what he could. Hence the title, from the saying from the Talmud, you save one life, you save the world.
I have seen this, and I cannot unsee it. And because I may be able to do something about it, I must.
The casting, incredible. What was it like? How did you know that you wanted Sir Anthony Hopkins and the rest of the cast? How did that all play out?
The first thing with Sir Anthony Hopkins was that he was the condition set by Nicky Winton's daughter for giving up the rights of the film.
Do you ever think about the children and what happened to them?
And Helena has such an indomitable spirit. She was just perfect to play the ally, the door kicker in 1930s London that she does so well.
Nicky, you must know we cannot save them all. You have to forgive yourself that.
Helena, how would you describe the relationship, the mother-son relationship, if you will, between Babby and Nicholas?
Well, for me, I found it one of the most unusual. I'd never come across a mother-son relationship that's quite so dynamic. We're doing as much as we can. It's rare when you actually get asked to do a script where you go like, oh, this could possibly, it means something and it could make a difference to people's lives.
Save one life, save the world.
What about this story and project attracted you? Why was this something you wanted to do?
I mean, there are very many reasons. I think the story in itself is obviously an incredible testament to the ability of human beings to just be incredibly good.
He kept a scrapbook, meticulously kept with all the names of the children.
How much do you feel we know about what happened? And how much do you think this is going to be an introduction to many people about this piece of history?
I met some Americans leaving Prague on the aircraft that we flew out on, saying to me that they just discovered the Holocaust. And I found that shocking. So if we introduce people to that bit of history and a crucial piece of our modern history, and we understand what that means for humanity and the lessons we should learn from it, then That's vital.
We are working to evacuate these children.
Humanity has the capacity to be incredibly good and incredibly brave and incredibly modest and kind. And it feels like a gift to remind people of that. So I just hope that as many people as possible see it.
He was extraordinary and he was effective and he made change and his heart was in the right place. And he really needs to be known just to help everybody else feel not totally in despair at this time when, frankly, there aren't enough heroes. It's not history, it's present.
Some people have talked about this as being a Holocaust movie.